Do we need some dairy products to stay healthy? Do you recommend plant-based milks like oat, hemp, soy, coconut, almond, cashew, flax, etc.?
So there's two parts to that question. I do not recommend dairy for anyone. In fact, that's the first thing I recommend people cut out. I can't believe what I've seen when people that's the first simple step of cutting out dairy. People stop, and myself included. I had lifelong acne. I had lifelong GI problems, lifelong sinus infections. I would get sinus infections all the time. I suffered my whole life. Dairy was the component that changed everything for me. And I see it with my clients, but it's also increases your risk for certain cancers. It increases your risk for cardio. There's on and on and on a million reasons to avoid dairy. So that said, the plant-based dairy, I'm so excited that we have these options. I don't see them as essential. They're not whole foods. They are an ingredient. I use them in my recipes. I've developed hundreds of recipes now. I use it for making sauces and dressings and whatnot. But, they are good sources. If you get the fortified kind, it's a good way to get some calcium and vitamin D and B12 sometimes. But are they necessary? No, I'd rather get them from whole foods and consider it a supplement. We are an ingredient. It's not like, we've been socialized to believe that we need to have those glasses of milk. It's been in our pyramid and plate for a century, forever. And no, we don't need to guzzle milk. I'd rather you eat food. In fact, with my clients, I work with people that are, raising families and, and they're trying to wean their children onto foods. And I'm like, get to foods as soon as possible. Use the formula for the first year, not plant milks, formula, very important. And then you start to introduce food as much as you can so that we're just going into food as the majority of calories, as the mouth and the jaw and the behavioral and the physical parts develop. So food first, plant milks. Okay. Now let's talk about the plant milks. I get that question all the time. I always recommend unsweetened, and I always recommend certain ones. I would prefer people would choose soy or hemp, or oat is a good one. Almond is okay, but I do not recommend coconut milk. I do not recommend a lot of coconut products because back to the saturated fat, coconut milk, coconut itself, and coconut oil especially is a concentrated source of saturated fat. And we don't want to run into the same problems that we see with animal product consumption. Coconut has seemingly achieved this halo of health, and people are like chugging down that coconut oil as if it's a health food, but it's not much better, than butter. So I recommend avoiding those products entirely. Coconut water is okay because the fat is taken out of it. But other than that, you can enjoy these plant milks. Definitely. It's great to swap, especially for people that are transitioning to a plant-based diet and they just want to have whatever. It's good to have these as options and to think of it as a delicious option for an ingredient in your recipes.
Should we take DHA and EPA supplements? Can we get them from food?
I am in the camp of recommending EPA and DHA supplements. The problem is we don't quite know right now. We get some form of omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are essential fats. Now, omega-3 and omega-6 are the only essential fats. We don't need monounsaturated fats. We definitely don't need saturated fats because we make them in our body. So essential means we need to take them in because we can't create them as, inherently or innately in our body. So on a plant-based diet, we can get some omega-3 fats. We get them in the form of ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. We can get those from walnuts or flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds are good sources. Soy foods like tofu have the ALA in there. And then what happens is our body converts it and elongates that molecule into EPA and then further elongates that molecule into DHA. Now, we need all those different forms. And so what's interesting is that vegans tend to have lower levels of the longer chain ones because we're not getting a direct source. If you're consuming fish or if you're consuming animal products, you're getting the direct form of the EPA and DHA, so you're going to have more in your bloodstream. Does it matter? That's the big question. Does it matter that we have lower levels? And that's the part we don't know because, we do have a decreased risk for cardiovascular disease and possibly Alzheimer's, which are some of the things that are associated with these nutrients. So a lot of us are recommending these supplements, the microalgae form. So now there used to be like 1 or 2 microalgae supplements, and now there's a lot. There's quite a few available to us. So I recommend a microalgae supplement. I haven't seen that it's harmful yet. I'm not certain it's helpful. We don't know. But so I have my clients kind of discreetly take them either like not every single day, or we just take them just in case, or not the full dose, and play with the different formulations because we don't know exactly how much we need. It's kind of one of those like gray areas. I'm not, but that's where I feel most comfortable. I take them myself, and we'll see how the evidence unfolds.
How do you prevent diabetes?
So we can't say that we can prevent. We can't say that we completely delete our risk for anything, because we do our best and we know what is associated with certain things. And type 1 diabetes, there are some potential associations with early dairy consumption, but it is an autoimmune disease. It's so different than type 2 diabetes. They're completely different illnesses. So we know a lot more about type 2 diabetes. And of course, type 2 diabetes is the most prevalent one. It's like 90% of the diabetes diagnoses are type 2. So let's talk about that. We can reduce our risk of getting type 2 diabetes by eating a plant-based diet. There's so much evidence now, and we've seen people reverse it. I see people lowering and getting off of their glycemic medicines, their medications for lowering their blood sugars by eating a plant-based diet. And it happens so rapidly, just like blood pressure, where I have my clients that are diabetic that come to me. I require them to go to their physician and say, I'm starting this diet. You're going to need to help me monitor my labs and watch me go down, because I'm going to need to taper off of the medication, because it could be dangerous. You don't want to go too low, and that can happen. So we have to be very, very conscientious and careful about the process of going on a plant-based diet. And it's that powerful. It is that powerful. We think it's the saturated fat. It's not the carbs, which I'm happy to talk about macro confusion, because it's an issue I'm very, very passionate about. But it's really eating the animal products that is promoting that state of disease. And you can absolutely help it. Not absolutely. You can reduce your risk for it. You can reverse it. I see it all the time. Again, it goes back to results are typical.